Hello everybody, and welcome to the second North American qualifiers here in the Alienware Awesome Cup 2. I'm Nada, and with me today, as always, is Oz. Say hi to the people.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Oz, and as Nada said, we're here for the second North American qualifier. We've got some great games coming up. Without further ado, let's just jump straight into the action. First off, we're going to be seeing Nautorious Nauts versus someone walking against her. That's right, Nautorious Nauts versus SWAT. And going straight into the picks for this one, we're going to see Nautorious Nauts running a Scoop, Nibs, and a Raylan, as compared to Team SWAT, who's going to be running the Clunk, Froggy, and Penny comp. As always,
I see a lot of damage there.
Definitely, we're going to see a lot of damage, a lot of team fights coming out. The map is going to be Sirona. Things to look out for on this map. You're definitely going to watch out for that middle worm. Mid control is an absolute must on that map. You're going to want to get that mid control, be able to farm that worm up, and just kind of hold that down and create a pocket for your team to excel forward and take those first two turrets. As we've seen in the last few updates, those first two turrets on Sirona do have reduced health to kind of decrease the amount of time taken to complete a match on Sirona. Ronimo made the decision to decrease the turret health on the first two turrets. That being said, be sure to watch out for those team pushes, because one push can take down a turret. That being said, I believe we're ready to go. Nada, you want to give us a countdown and we'll get straight into it.
Alright, you know what? Let's do that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so we're dropping down, and what we're gonna see here, I think, at least with Raylan, is gonna be rift buildings so that Scoop will get some nice snare targets, and that's gonna be finished up with Nibs. So that's something that SWAT has to look out for. Just right off the bat, it's a very powerful early game they got here.
Definitely. You take a look at that SWAT comp, though. You have that Penny and the Frog. A lot of movement and a lot of action going on right now as we switch to Pando. He's going to be taking a little pokes in that midsection. But as I said before, once you switch to that SWAT side of things, Penny, Frog, two characters who are extremely mobile, two characters that can deal a lot of damage. Throw a Clunk into that mix. That Clunk is there for the safety security explode, more or less, to secure those kills. But as we see now, we're going to see Nautorious Nauts just holding down that midsection, and none of the droids have spawned yet, so this is exactly what we're talking about. Holding that midsection and farming that bottom mid. And
yeah, you gotta watch out. If you're hosting the match, then you cannot farm the worm. It's just gonna drop straight down, so make sure you actually clear out that when you're actually trying to make it. That's that being said, you also get a really great control over the map if you control the worm, because you can effectively deny bottom lane from pushing and keep all the fighting going on top.
Definitely. And one really cool strategy that I saw, and it may seem obvious to some people, but some other people, one thing that I see happening is if SWAT takes control of that midsection, the Nibs from Nautorious Nauts can use the teleport and throw the teleport onto the middle worm button. So while they're farming, they can get an easy kill on that.
Oh yeah, that same being done with Sentry, I see sometimes. Oh, we're seeing a great engagement here.
Bodokai's taking a lot of damage. He's also dealing a lot of damage, and he's going to force Pando to go back. And the Explode does pick up Reverend. Reverend's going to go down to Clunk's Explode, and that is going to be the first kill coming out in favor of SWAT at the 2-minute mark.
Oh yeah. Wow. Something I'm actually noticing here is that SWAT has a really great mid-clearing comp. If you can see, you have the Penny's Pulse. You can just swipe in from above, from safety, and then a Clunk is going to come in, followed up by a Frog.
A lot of damage is going to be dealt on the bottom right now, though. Excuse me. Nibs is going to be forced to retreat in there. But I definitely agree with you. They have that scary comp that they can kind of just push into that mid and take control of it without any contest to it. So let's see how that's going to play out. That Clunk can easily go into there with an Explode, clear that mid, and just continue to battle it out. They have a Penny, they have a Frog. They can continue to control that midsection, even if that Clunk wastes his Explode.
See the patience going on here. If he gets too close, you can see the reactions were there. They're ready to go. If they go in there, that's going to be very painful.
It's going to be very painful, but it's a high-risk, high-reward situation. I think if Nautorious Nauts gets into that midsection right now, which it seems like they're looking to do, Bodokai is actually going to go up there to get some health. So, but as I was saying, if Nautorious Nauts and miss on the Explode is actually going to allow Pando to escape that situation. Pando's going to be looking to teleport back now, and it looks like Team SWAT is going to take control back in that midsection. The early Piggy coming out for Twisted Lance on Scoop.
Yeah, the range is a really good upgrade, and it's going to help out a lot, because with the added range, you can actually take the bouncer up.
And here we go, a huge engagement going on right now. A lot of damage being dealt. Pando's going to actually be able to escape. Nibs as well.
Oh man, as I was saying, with the range, you can actually accumulate a lot of damage when you're throwing your hammer down into the mid area by either bouncing up with a bouncer and throwing it back down, or hitting the edges of the mid, causing it to bounce back down in sort of a diagonal line, and you're going to accumulate a lot of damage with it, as well as snare.
You know, we're actually seeing the early explode coming out on the Clunk here. How do you think that's going to work out if they try and get into that mid fight?
Oh, that's going to be good, because you don't want to hang around and waiting for your damage, especially not with Nibs. As you can see, it's gonna hurt. I mean, Nibs DPS, we all know that's terrifying, and you don't want to wait for your explode when that happens. As well, you have these fast notes and this quick delivered burst, so you just want to make sure you get out and you get in quickly, and I think that's what they're building for.
Definitely going for those quick burst fights is definitely going to be something that they can kind of work on. And a snipe is actually going to hit Penny. Penny's going to be forced to go back a little bit. And Pando needs to remember that as the host, he can't farm that midsection. So he's kind of just sacrificing a bunch of solar there to the worm god of Sirona.
The worm god of Sirona.
Didn't we have a name for him at some point? I think his name was Bob. Bob? Oh. Bob the worm.
Alright, well, all praise the almighty Bob. You know, I can get behind that. So we're still looking at this very Sirona-esque mid fight. You have you get mid, you fight back. Something I haven't seen yet is using the bouncers to gank. That's something Clunk can do if he times it right. With Quick Explode, it's obviously going to be a bit offset, but where he is right now, and if he bounces up while the enemy is a bit too aggressive, he can actually get a quick explode out, followed up by a nice dash. That should be enough to end. And
this is a situation where they should have been going in right there. They had a frog into that midsection. That scoop was a little bit out of position. I think SWAT could have picked up a kill in a situation like that, where they had that frog right underneath the bumpers, the Clunk on the right side, and the Penny hovering above. But, you know...
Well, it's very dangerous to attacking in
and here we go. We got the explode hitting and the pulse hitting as well. But the heal coming out from Scoop is not going to allow enough damage to be dealt to force a retreat.
Oh, man. Well... with only one player on the field, they should really consider not playing too aggressive now, because Nautorious Nauts are going to have a significant advantage now that they're moved up. And there we go, there it is.
And the jump explode, actually, it got cancelled, but the frog is going in for it, and the Nibs is going to actually go in for the save with the fire, not allowing that Penny to proceed. But a nice pulse in reiteration for the Scoop. Scoop's going to be brought down to about half health, but his bindings are up. And Scoop is just one of those maximum sustain characters, you know. He can deal a lot of damage, and he can take a lot of damage, and he's also self-sufficient in regards to his AA kind of does small heals, and a nice snipe actually coming out, but his AA doing small heals, and his bindings just healing him up.
You can get so much sustain on Scoop, and that's the whole idea. Very, very good as he's like, if Clunk is a sponge, I don't know, he's like a blanket. Just, I don't know, it's just...
He's a blanket?
He soaks up, I don't know. I was trying to make up some...
damage? Yeah. He's what are those things? ShamWow, he's a ShamWow. That's a
exactly. Yeah, if you got damage under your carpet, go just soak it up. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, I mean, with Scoop, he's actually going to be able to shut down, especially Frog and Penny, for their dashes. And he's also going to be able to take the damage for the Clunk.
And here we see a huge fight coming out. The explode hitting Asdor is going to go down. Penny is going to be forced to retreat, and Clunk is going to be he's going to be chased back, by Pando. And the bounce snipe, unfortunately, a little bit too late, and it's not going to allow any damage to be dealt. And we see Clunk now getting his 750 explode, and Penny picking up some damage, or is that?
That is damage.
That is damage. Thought it was silence.
Nice. Now silence is the stone. You know, the sentient rocks, they're just like all sad and rocks. And
Reverend Snipe actually getting cancelled out there. And Pano landing a nice hammer on them, and there we go with the time rift. But as you said before, I definitely think that Penny should be building into the time rift at this point. She's not going to be able to deal as much damage. Raylan, excuse me.
When Penny gets a time rift, let me know, because I'm switching mains then.
But she should definitely be looking into building into the time rift, actually.
I was thinking that. I want to see boots and then time rift height and maybe slower damage.
Well, she's actually got a lot of solar banked right now. She's got about 400 solar banked, and that's second most to Scoop. And the explode coming out, and that is actually going to be hitting on Reverend, forcing him back into that midsection. And now we see Bodokai getting into the action, fighting
he wants it, he wants it.
And a Penny, and Nibs is going to pick off the Penny. Bodokai is going to go down to the wrath of Nibs and Raylan.
Oh, that's the sad thing when you don't have charges as Penny. I'm trying to collect the charges.
Is a very easy target. And now they notice that Pando's out of position, and the Clunk tries to get down there for the explode, and he should be preparing his explode. He does, but unfortunately it does miss as Pando gets the prediction. Was real.
See, taking your time to actually just check out the whatevers is a good idea. You know, orient yourself and make sure you don't jump into things like that.
Clunk saw he was out of position at that point. Pando knew he was out of position at that point, and he knew that explode was coming. He waited it out. An excellent play by him, noticing and just being aware that Clunk was ready for him up top.
You see, I get the quick explode part. It really does make sense, especially versus Nibs and Raylan, because if you're in a rift, you don't want to like have the explode just drag on indefinitely. But I'm still kind of wondering if he's forgetting, because I see a lot of explode charge ups that would have made sense without the upgrade. So I'm thinking he's doing this as an off pick instead of what he usually does, because I see there's a bit of uncertainty when he plays.
Well, you know, you say uncertainty. I say that it was a very smart pick. You have two quick characters. Oh, yeah. You have Raylan and you have that Nibs. It's easy. You know, even if, you know, it's a regular it's a second on the explode itself. Brings it down to a half a second. That's enough time to get that explode off before that Nibs teleports or that Raylan has her boots start to activate.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's more that it seems like what this Clunk's playstyle is indicating is that he's used to having the regular explode time, and thus is trying to time his explodes like that. I definitely agree it's a good pick, and he also, you know, he agrees too. I mean, why would he have picked it otherwise? It makes sense. So I'm just curious to see if that's also what his last upgrade is going to be, because getting slow with quick explode is not going to get the full slow potential.
Right, at this point I think safety explode would be a better option. The explode actually going to hit Reverend. Reverend's going to be forced to go back, and a huge fight going on in mid right now. Clunk is very weak. He's going to start his teleport, and is actually going to be interrupted and picked up by Pando. Pando's going to pick him off the bouncer.
Oh, that's a nice hammer.
And he's taking a lot of damage.
Is he going down?
He will not go down.
You never know with Scoop's hammer, though. You never know.
This is true. Scoop's hammer is one of those things where it's either going to hit everybody or nobody, but it's still going to be a hindrance.
And the cooldown is significantly low, and if you get cooldown, I mean, you're going to be able to send that thing flying every 4 seconds.
Every 4 seconds for an up to 600 damage hammer. If you get Spoonman, that is a lot of damage for a ranged attack. And that's every 4 seconds.
I actually want to see that, because he's fighting a Clunk, and how do you deal with Clunk? You poke him down.
Exactly. You need to keep him low this entire time, and just make sure that he's not able to sustain himself with his own bite.
Oh, oof. Penny getting in a dangerous situation if Raylan bounces out here.
But you know, we're just seeing typical Sirona play at this point. Nothing really too much going on, and a lot of damage actually coming out, and the Frog is going to be forced to teleport back. Actually, excuse me, he's just going to be forced to retreat for the time being, and a lot of damage coming out, and the Explode just narrowly missing, but the Frog Dash is going to get some damage on Pando. Pando's going to be hunting them down now with the Raylan, and that's a lot of damage coming out in favor of Nautorious Nauts, and they're going to continue to control this midsection. You know, we've entered the midpoint of the game about 2 minutes ago at the 10-minute mark, and some of these turrets should be going down at this point. You know, we can see Nautorious Nauts kind of pushing through as opposed to continuing to farm. And the solar difference right now is about 200 compared to Nibs and Scoop, compared to around the average of around 1,000 on Team SWAT.
Well, it seems like, well, for Raylan and Penny's point of view, it's actually pretty even. Surprisingly even. But what I think is going to happen is that as soon as Raylan gets AA, they're going to be able to tear those turrets down.
Well, they can tear them down already, you know. As the game progresses, damage increases, and the turret just goes down a lot quicker.
Well, everyone is still on base AA damage, so...
You know, we kind of see that Scoop kind of picking up that... and the Explode coming out, and that's going to be a nice Explode, forcing the Scoop to go back. Bodokai's taking a lot of damage in that Rift, though. That Rift and Fire was pretty deadly.
Imagine if there had been a Scoop Hammer. Just, that's where this comp is going. And I'm afraid, and I like it.
You're afraid and you like it, and the Explode coming out again. Azur's taking a lot of damage. Frog is going to take a lot of damage as well. But there we see, you know, a single fire can take down a Clunk from 90% health.
It is almost maxed out in terms of damage. That is actually now maxed out in terms of damage. It also has DOT, which can get one more stage. And just knowing that it can get more damage, it kind of scares me. Oh, and the Frog with the defensive dash there. Very nice. And
it looks like that top turret is going to go down right now, and Nautorious Nauts could possibly take that bottom turret if they all push it and tank it. But they're going to decide to go for the Penny instead, and Pando's going to be dealing some damage onto that Penny. Penny's going to be forced to teleport back at this point. Nope, she is not going to be forced to teleport back. She's going to get back into the fray, but doesn't have any charges.
Well, she'll get that from the droids eventually. So as soon as you have that, she'll go back into the fight, and I'm sure... I actually kind of want to see where Clunk is going, because...
And here we go with the engagement again.
Pandorak's in a really bad situation here over in the enemy jungle. Oh, solo, and Penny gets the pickup. Nice.
You know, Azur should have been using his fire at that point to just kind of save him and get a lot of damage, but it looks like this Penny is going to be able to escape and get the extra health that will allow it to survive.
Orb there from Azor, thinking that Penny would go for the top area and shooting the orb up there rather than after.
And here we can see Azor kind of getting up in that top lane, but this Raylan hanging out down here. You know, this is one of those support Raylans again that we saw a few last week, in regards to the fact that staying back, she actually opted for range on snipe to get that extra little range and be able to poke them out, whether it be to get some damage, secure a kill. But we're seeing that Rift.
Oh, and
Azur's taking a lot of damage. Is going to be taking out Bodokai, though.
Absolutely tearing them apart. I am like, that's the dangerous thing about Nibs. If you let Nibs too close and you actually let her get in a position where you can't do as much damage as she's doing to you, well, you're gonna have a bad time.
Absolutely. Now we see this kind of, as we said before, you know, once we enter that mid game, we're seeing these turrets kind of go down. We're seeing a different style of play, and the Explode's actually going to pick up Azur.
Nice.
Azur's going to go
That
down.
is how you do it. That's how you do it. You make sure you have more damage than Nibs, and then you bait out the fire. That's just it.
There we see the second turret coming down in favor of Nautorious Nauts.
Kills are actually equal, but the damage done is just you can tell the Nibs is doing magic here. Like, just the sheer DPS coming out of Nibs is absolutely crazy.
You know, I saw this game going a little bit differently in the earlier parts when I saw a Penny Frog pick. You know, normally when we see two dash characters like that, we've seen the Frog and Vinny comp, we've seen the Penny and Frog, and they're just so fast, they can dish out so much damage. They're very bursty characters.
And they're very mobile too.
Absolutely, but then we take a look on the other hand at Nautorious Nauts comp. This Nibs has been doing a lot of damage. The Quick Explode is going to go off, and Reverend's going to take a lot of damage. Pando's going to be forced to use his hammer, and the fire coming out again.
Oh no.
No, but Azur is hunting down that Clunk. And the Frog there for the save. And Frog is going to be forced to retreat along with Clunk at this point. And that's going to leave a little bit of a gap right now that Nautorious Nauts has to cover.
Managed to get the droids moved up, which is going to get them time to actually get back on the field. You can see Penny not actually wanting to move out because that's going to be a death trap. If they get caught...
And the fire coming out again. The slow now coming out on Nibs. That's an absolutely terrifying upgrade. Being slowed by Nibs' teleport and then just being assaulted with her fire.
Assaulted.
We see it happen right there up top. And it looks like this Clunk may be going down in a few seconds. He's going to be caught out of position, and that is going to be a secured kill brought to you by Pandorax. And a lot of damage coming out again. Bodokai just barely escaping that, but the hammer may be picking up. Nope, the hammer just barely misses, and Penny's going to be allowed to escape there. And now we see Nautorious Nauts pushing into that last turret zone, where they're going to be able to have a small push at this moment. due to that Clunk being down.
I just want to point out that Raylan went on a shopping spree and got a lot of...
And the double kill actually coming out. Azor is going to pick up a double kill at the turret through the no-clip fire, but is also going to go down. That is a 2-for-1 exchange, but as I said before,
worth it. I call worth
that
it.
Turret.
Definitely worth it. I mean, look at all the damage. That's half a turret plus 2 members of the enemy team. I mean, you have to be silly not to think that's a good idea.
Exactly. And Clunk's AA is not very strong early game.
You can see the piggy for Snarebite because he knows that they're a bit behind.
They are a bit behind. You know, Snarebite was probably the best option to go with at this point, though. If you can kind of isolate that Raylan or isolate that Scoop, that's going to be great for Snarebite. Not going to work as well.
Raylan is dangerous as Clunk. You got to keep that in mind. Oh, Scoop is going to spend around 700 Solar just on getting that binding up and really dangerous.
But, you know, as I was saying, it's not really going to work out too well against that Nibs due to the teleport. But on that Raylan and on that Scoop, it can be absolutely terrifying. And the Explode coming out, the Silence Pulse coming out. Frog is going to be hunting down. Pandorix is getting really low right now. Bodokai is going to be trying to chase him down, but maybe getting picked up.
Oh, he's going to get
picked up.
Trade. Oh, wait, is that slow dash? Am I actually seeing slow dash right now?
You are seeing ice cubes on Frog. That is exactly what you're seeing. Maybe to kind of counteract that Nibs with the slow?
I think it's to help the Clunk, but that really makes me wonder why.
Well, at this point, you know, and the Prediction Explode actually not being able to do much, but at this point, I think it's more or less to help with the chase, because from what we've been seeing, the Frog isn't the one engaging most of the time right now. It's going to be the Penny engaging with the Pulse. Once that Pulse hits, that Frog is going to get into it, get that dash off, and then allow that Clunk to kind of come up with that Snare Bite.
Oh yeah, I mean, versus a Nibs, having a lot of CC is good because you have to use one of your CCs to sort of bait out the teleport away. Oh, the snipe is
going to be taking a lot of damage right there. The 650 snipe coming out. And here we see the Explode coming out, actually going to hit Azdor, and Pandorix is going to be forced to kind of get into that, tank a few hits for his team, land a few hammers, and be into the fray again. Snipe, unfortunately, not hitting there, and Nautorious Nauts has taken control of this map at this point, and this match. We're seeing a 2-kill difference, but, you know, it is Sirona. This is the comeback map. We can see anything happen.
Oh, yeah.
A wipe can easily be the game.
And that's because the low HP of the turret is going to allow for these like rapid pushes, and you know, once the base is opened up, we're really going to be able to see either some hefty defending or a quick march in. That's just going to be.
And the Silence Pulse actually hitting all three. Bodokai getting really low.
Oh, but he's going to go down, and that's going to be
a team wipe.
That's going to be a team wipe. I'm not sure they can make it down now.
I don't think so. This is going to be a lot of damage coming out. The Clunk is
the
now
joys are coming up.
10-second mark coming down from the drop pod, but Nautorious Nauts may be able to take this in one push, and it looks like they are going to take it. That is going to be a good game.
Damn.
Of Nautorious Nauts.
SWAT couldn't hold up. You know, if this had been Counter-Strike, then it would say terrorists win. I mean, that's where we're at.
I mean, look, we know what Nibs can do. You combine that with a Rift and a Hammer, and you just have so much time.
You have so much death. I think you're mixing the two things up. That is so much death.
No, she's just got. It's a lot of opportunity for that Nibs to just get a lot of damage in a very short period of time. Clunk, obviously, he's a clunky character. Excuse me, I had to do it, but he can take a lot of damage, but he's also very squishy when it comes to being bursted down, as are all characters. Clunk being one of the characters with the most HP in the game, Nibs can take that down in 2 seconds, if that, with the fire. Now, I do want to commend Team SWAT for kind of noticing that they're going to need to have a quick bursty comp. And that Clunk picking up that early explode, the quick explode, as we say, was a very good pick. The Frog picking up Ice Cubes, however, was a very interesting pick on my end to see. We haven't seen Ice Cubes come out in this tournament yet.
Well, it's always interesting to see what people are trying to do.
I mean, we kind of guessed where he was going with it, and we saw a few different things kind of come out. whereas the Nibs got the slow on the orb, and then the Frog got the slow on the ice cubes. I'm thinking it was to counteract that and allow that to get in there for the explode.
Yeah, I guess that could be, but I just don't. I mean, with the snare and with the penny's sort of knockback stun, I feel like that's a bit of an overkill on CC. But oh well.
I mean, that being said, that is going to be a wrap-up for our first match of the day. Nautorious Nauts is going to take it. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with our next match in the round of 32.
But if you're smart, you'll pay attention to the chat, because I heard things are going to happen there.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Keep an eye out for one of our mods in the channel. He's going to be having a scoop giveaway in the Twitch chat, so keep an eye on that in the break. We will be right back